Hey guys, happy Monday. I'm so excited to be on here with you all tonight for another episode of Monday Makeover. My name is Lauren, and I'm so excited to have Dr. Rachel Meier on with me tonight. And for those of you that may be watching or listening for the very first time, my passion in life is being able to see people live their best life. So I'm the author of 2 books, Get Off the Curb and Why Can't is a 4-letter word. And both of them are all about getting out of your own way, letting go of whatever you think people think you should be doing to ultimately live your best life, design your life the way you want, and hopefully impact a lot of other lives in the process. So every week I come back here and I get to highlight amazing people in my life and in my circle and my network who have incredible stories that I feel like did that, let go of what they thought they should be doing to go on and do whatever it is that they want to be doing. And hopefully now that we can inspire you to do the same. So some of you may know Dr. Meier is my older sister. Some of you may not know that. She's the prettier one. I'm the older one. No, I'm just joking. I'm the younger one. But anyways, it's been fun to see, obviously, her life firsthand, which is why it's so inspiring for me to have her share her story, to hopefully go out and let you guys go do all the things that you want to be doing. So, Rach, I would love right now for anybody watching and listening to get to know you a little bit better. And so when I invite you to kind of talk about your story, I would like for you to go back, not just a few years ago when you decided to work for yourself, but even go back to maybe teenage years or even younger, and the pressure you put on yourself in following this, what I was supposed to path that led into the ultimate, what you're doing now story.
It's a great question, and I've thought about it for a long time because growing up as a child, I was absolutely one of those sort of perfectionist kids. I remember getting so excited when the start of the new school year and going and getting all my pens and my notebooks and making sure they were all, aligned perfectly and put into the backpack. And then I would sit in the front row of the newest class and always be that one ready to take in all the information and learn and kind of be the A student and master everything. And I think that is great. And that's a great skill set to have. And at the time, as a young kid, I think a lot of that was intrinsically motivated. And you really, truly were inspired to want to learn and inspired to do well and to progress. And then it was interesting, I think, over the course of my journey growing up, into middle school, but certainly into high school, and the pressure, I think, as you get into college is, yes, you always want to continue to do well. You always want to strive for perfection. You always want to strive to be better than the next person. But a lot of that became external pressure. And it was something that you're doing great, Rach, but unless you're better than that next person, all of these opportunities are not going to be available to you anymore. And I think over time, what I learned is it was never good enough. So I would reach one milestone and then I would achieve another milestone and another milestone. And whether it was getting my undergraduate degree and then my master's degree and then my doctorate degree, then getting the doctorate degree, it was completing the internship and completing the fellowship. And then once you got the job, that job wasn't good enough. And it was the next level and the next level and the next level that ultimately found me by the time I was 33, burnt out and not in a good place. And so I have so much gratitude and so much appreciation for the education and the knowledge I received and the impact of all of that on who I am today. But I think it is always pretty interesting to see where I may have lost sight of who I really am and what really brings me joy and value because of that pressure to just always do more or be more.
I think so many people can relate to that. And I remember once hearing there's no there, and like that exactly what you're saying. Like, I'm going to do this. And we're expecting it to have some emotion that never is there, that does let us down if we're not fulfilled in other ways. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. I was teased about being a recovered perfectionist, because it just keeps you frozen often or keeps you frustrated because you're not able to just accept what is. And I know you always talk about being in the now, and you're always in that place, either held on to a past thing or worried about what's coming, that you can't just take that for what that is. So I love that you share that because I think a lot of people relate. So would you say, based on what you just said to me, that you led yourself to be overwhelmed? Do you feel like you knew that you were overwhelmed or that you were kind of unfulfilled and burnt out? Actually, I think burnout was the word that you used, not overwhelmed. I'm sorry. When you said that you were burnt out, Do you feel that you knew that and then searched for something, or do you feel like maybe you didn't even realize that, and then once you saw another path or you kind of learned about other ways to have success, that then you recognize that kind of burnout that you had?
In a way, probably a little bit of both, to be honest. I mean, I remember going to bed on Sundays, almost having a panic sort of feeling of, or the dread, maybe not panic, but the dread of like, the weekend's already over. It seemed to go by so fast, and I know I've got to get up and I've got to do this all again. And it was like running a hamster in a wheel, not really feeling like you're going anywhere. Yet at the same time, because I didn't know there was anything other, it's what you don't know, you don't know. And so I'm not sure I would have ever even thought that there was another possibility. You just do it. You just get up and you do it again and you do it again, because then by the time you are 65 or whenever that age comes that you can retire, then you can enjoy life. Then you can have the time and the freedom to travel or to do these other things that just don't fit into the Monday through Friday workday schedule. And that's limited on Sundays of cooking and prepping for the week and doing laundry that leaves one day on Saturdays type of a routine. However, once something was presented to me and I saw some stories of people that were actually breaking out of the mold and doing some out of box thinking and living their life in ways that we weren't taught, or it didn't seem to fall into the trajectory that I was raised, all of a sudden it got me obviously much more focused on the burnt out, the overwhelm, the stress than I probably did realize. And then motivated beyond all belief to say, well, if they can do it, why can't I?
I love that. I totally agree with that. And even most of you know that I'm a professional network marketer. That's what I do. And I use an analogy of like, if we've been taught 2+2=4 forever and ever and ever, that's all you know. And if someone said 2+2=5, like you don't know, you don't know. And clearly 2+2 does not equal 5, but it's being exposed to another way. It's just seeing there's so many different ways to get to the same destination or a different destination, and being open to the possibility of vision. And that's one of the reasons I'm so drawn to entrepreneurs, is because there's great reward, but often people don't see the risk too, and you have to take that, and then, or we see what I would call like the glory, but without the story. And there is hardship and there is burnout, or there is frustration or something that's going to get you to that point where I always say the pain has outweighed the pleasure. Like there's something else that's getting you so frustrated that's going to create the burning desire, create the hunger for something else. So when we think about you, Rach, I know you're kind of a Jill of all traits in terms of, you have an online coaching and therapy business, and you're a professional network marketer, and you have an amazing blog, the Wanderlust Life, just showing people how to travel around the world and earn an income around the world. What would you say has been like your greatest failure? And I put that in quotes because I hate the term failure. I think we always learn from challenging times, or when we didn't get to the solution right away, right? When it's easy, that's not when we're learning and growing. And maybe you have a couple different stories if there's one pinpoint, but a time that some people would think that's a setback, or some people could let them get frustrated of like, oh, like that's not how I thought that was going to go. But in hindsight, really guided you to where you are today, or taught you something that's really impactful with your success today?
It's a great question. It goes to show that we didn't have any preemptive questioning for this interview. I think it's hard, and maybe it's the word failure, because I really do try not to think about things that way. I feel like everything that I do in my life is always getting me to where I need to go next. And so they're always learning opportunities. They're always growth, for sure. I do think quitting, it's interesting because I don't want this to come across the wrong way, but quitting my job, this kind of very highly viewed or respected career path that I had taken, and all of the work and education and the hundreds of thousands of dollars that went into getting the education and the degree to get to this.
Rachel has a sidey from Stanford. She won't tell you that, a consortium with Stanford, because she'll correct me on that. But she's very humble and she's very modest, and it got her just under $300,000 in student loan debt. So I have to give them a little bit of background that you're not going to tell them.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, that is all very true. And so to walk away from something like that at 33 years old, Most people may have thought that I was nuts. Most people may have thought I was crazy. Why are you going to take such a risk, putting all of your eggs in one basket per se, to completely let go of all of that? Um, for maybe what on the surface could have looked like a complete starting over and coming from nothing to build something and having to learn. And I, I'm definitely not saying that this is a failure, but it was such a challenging growth opportunity for me, and something that I had really zero skill in entrepreneurship, zero business skills, zero marketing skills. And so it was a risk, to say the least. And it wasn't necessarily the biggest growth ever. And there were a lot of, I guess, blips along the way, and things that I had to check myself and say, am I worried more about what the other person is going to think because I'm not succeeding as fast as I should have by making this risky choice? Or am I really going to say, but this is what is important to me. This is what I see. I have caught this vision of something new and different that's going to allow me to travel and explore the world before I'm too old or ill to do so. That's going to allow me to not go to bed on Sunday nights dreading getting up on Monday morning. That's still going to allow me to have fulfillment and reward for helping people, but just in a different way, even if it's not society's expectations or what I was taught to believe was the right way. And so there was, I guess, just a lot of fear and a lot of self-introspection to say it's okay if I've made a choice, and even if it doesn't pan out exactly the way that I would have thought, I'm going to learn and I'm going to grow something from it. And that inevitably did turn out to be one of the greatest successes, also because it gave me the opportunity to travel the world, to live in Mexico abroad, to learn this living in the moment and truly slowing down the pace of life that I wasn't used to. So it turned out to be a beautiful thing in the end. I'm not sure if that was exactly the answer to the question you were looking for, but
I'm not looking for anything. And so I love it. I love the raw, I love the vulnerability. And, I think, a lot of people can relate to that of I was going to do this. And then, walking away from that. I mean, people spend years and years and years in a relationship that they're unhappy. And part of the reason that they're staying is because they are like, what are people going to think if I leave? Or can I make it on my own? Or there's nothing better out there, and I talk about that in my book because that was my story. I stayed in really toxic and unhealthy relationships because I was like, well, this is as good as it's going to get. I was 30 and I was like, well, I should make this work. I'm going to end up alone. Instead of saying, no, that's not the standard for my life. And we see people do that with their health. They think that's as good as it's going to get. We see people do that standard with their finances and with jobs. And it's like, well, this job, maybe this is the best it's going to get. And instead of just being willing to take the risk and see what's out there and go for it, I think we stay complacent. And so there's no expectation to how you're answering this. And I most of all just want other people to see themselves in a piece of a story that would give them the courage, them the belief that there is something more and that there is different opportunities and paths should someone be looking for it. So now the opposing question is, I think we all get inspired by different books, different podcasts, different people. And maybe who are 2 or 3 people that have been influential in your journey, or a mentor to you, or something that you follow, that you read, that kind of guides you in making decisions? Like, people are always looking for those feel good stories. And who are some people that maybe you can highlight?
So the first one that comes to mind is a male by the name of David Wood. He's in the network marketing industry. I was to be totally honest, such a skeptic to the industry and to direct sales and to network marketing. He was the first person that I heard speak and that I had listened to some of his podcasts that truly impacted me at sort of the heart level, that this is about other people. This is about servant leadership. This is about doing something for the greater good, and for trusting that you're doing it because you want something bigger and better for yourself and for others. And I just got sort of engulfed in learning that there's just a different path, and that network marketing can offer this just wider vision for people, wider ability to live life outside of the box, and that's okay. And so I think that was one of the first people that I got pretty glued into when I made this decision to quit my job and to do something for myself. And then there was a book actually that I read that stands out more than anything, was just The Go-Giver. And to this day has probably been one of my favorites, in the fact that it just talks, because I was also so afraid getting into this entrepreneurial mindset, having to be a salesperson of sorts, whether it was selling my services or the products that I aligned with, or helping other people, you're still ultimately needing them to buy something, and recognizing that the act of sales is beautiful when it's in the mentality of you're doing something to better someone else and helping to pay forward or to pass along something that's going to be impactful and helpful. And so it just shifted my mindset of truly what it means to, yeah, and that one is also very good, right? And yeah, I think those are at least the two that come to my mind right away.
Is there anything that you do daily, any activity or habit or routine that you think aids in your success that you could teach somebody else right now?
A lot on mindset work, one of them being starting the day without any sort of digital phone or computer or TV that's going to automatically put something negative into your brain, whether it's reminding you of all that you have to do or some negative thing about what's going on in the world, or just the constant notifications that come up and then take away from your mental focus and energy and attention. So starting the morning with some sort of morning meditation. That the only caveat that I'll say to that is it's pre-programmed from the night before on YouTube. So all I have to do is press the play button and then keep the phone behind me so I don't see anything. And my phone's on do not disturb, so the notifications haven't popped up yet. But to play the guided meditation, that's usually a energizing sort of get the day off started to the get your day off to the right start on the right foot, and very motivating. The other piece, I know you asked for one, but the other is just generally throughout the day, trying to be cognizant and aware of negative thoughts. They're going to happen. We all have them. They're automatic. But if we can recognize it and be aware of it, then reminding myself that there's always two sides of the coin. And so, yes, I had that negative thought, but what is the positive that counteracts it? Or what's the opportunity that comes from potentially the challenge? Or what's the gratitude in the situation that caused that negative feeling? And just constantly trying to, without being unrealistic, but giving some space and gratitude for whatever it may be that caused that negative space, but also recognizing I don't have to stay there and live there. And I feel like that just keeps me overall at a higher vibration energy level that is more likely to bring abundance and joy to my life.
So good. I mean, I think of all the people that I follow and listen to, and one of the common denominators in all the podcasts, all the reading is like to not let digital be the first thing. And it's so easy to wake up and just like check that. And we are similar that I don't do that first thing in the morning, but mine is always like physical fitness. Like I want to get my heart rate up. I want to, so Rachel's like, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be calm and I'm going to meditate. I'm like, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to hit, I'm going to run. I'm going to work out really hard. I mean, clearly I told you that we are sisters, but polar opposites a little bit, you can see, right? But I love that. And I love that there's just so many opportunities. So the last question that I'd like to ask you tonight, Rach, is one of the questions I always ask in the discovery process with my network marketing business, because I believe in it and I want to be able to support others. It's something that has become so fun because I truly, truly get to know people, and I learn about things that I would never have learned as a way that as a community we can impact more and have just a bigger profound effect on the world. And so I always ask people, like, if time and money were of no issue, what would you be doing? But ultimately I've led this into like, if you can contribute to any cause, right? Like when you had all the time and all the money and you could volunteer at any organization or donate an unlimited amount of money, what would that be? Like, what's the number one, like, I want to help this industry or this nonprofit, or this is an area that screams to me that we need to bring attention to. What is that and why is that important to you?
You're speaking to a Gemini who can never make decisions. So there's too many. But just because I'm going to go with the first thing that comes to my mind and what's on my heart is Parkinson's. And obviously because, you know, Lauren, and I don't know how many of the viewers here watching this, our father passed away from Parkinson's just a couple of months ago. And so it's near and dear to my heart. And I believe that Parkinson's is one of those kind of syndromes or illnesses where there's certainly not a lot of evidence or support to know exactly how and why it exists. I think there's a lot to be learned. We know from our experience with our father that The symptom range is wide. The medications that are available to help are few and far between, are certainly not into the end stages. The disease itself is horrible and takes an incredible toll, not only on the individual, but on the family. And without getting too far down the road into some other things, I just think that it doesn't always have a great option for support at the end. And so, yeah, I think if time and money were no issue and I had all the money in the world, it would be figuring out how to save people from that wretched disease.
Thank you for sharing that. And it's true, that's a big one. And if you guys have watched any of the previous Monday Makeovers, you know, we've had people talk about, you know, child sex slave things that are happening on. We've had people talk about, you know, people that are looking for clean running water. And I just love that we can bring attention to areas that sometimes are not as glamorous, but as a community can truly make an impact. So I appreciate you sharing that tonight. And where can people find you? If people are loving you and love hearing what you're saying and your authenticity and unscripted and unrehearsed interview, how can they get a hold of you?
Pretty much all of the social media avenues. So Facebook, it's Rach6681. On Instagram, it's Rachel Meyer. I do have actually a couple of business pages, Rachel Meyer Consulting and Dr. Rachel Meyer from a psychology standpoint. Certainly on LinkedIn, if you pretty much just search my name, RACHAELMEIR, you'll find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on. I want to just encourage all of you guys to just follow your hearts, follow your dreams, whether that is being self-employed, that's staying in corporate America, that's diving into a network marketing business. We truly get one life. We want to see you live your best life, you know, full of fulfillment, with passion, with purpose, and to always impact people and leave them better than when you found them. So thank you for watching. Have a wonderful Monday. And I love that we were able to share Rachel's makeover with you tonight. Good night.
Thank you.